Mom's pregnant again. 7th time. And me? I'm done. I've raised enough of her kids to last a lifetime. So I packed my things and left. Simple as that, or at least it should have been. Because the moment I tried to claim my own freedom, she called the cops on me. Yeah, she actually did that. What you need to understand is this isn't just some big family drama. No, this is chaos dressed up as home life. 7 kids, 7 disasters, like a twisted version of the 7 deadly sins. Greed? Check. Rough? Double check. And the list goes on. I'm 18 now, standing on the edge of adulthood, but my story doesn't start here. It begins with 2 kids, my parents, who thought they were ready to raise one. My mom was 19, my dad was 20, and the idea of family planning was, well, non-existent. So we lived with my grandparents. And honestly, those years were the only good part of my childhood. Gramps was the kind of man who could fix anything with duct tape and sheer determination. His garage was a kingdom of order, tools lined up, project that made sense, a place where I felt capable. Nana, she was warmth in human form. Homemade meals, a spotless house, cookies cooling on the counter. But more than that, they made me feel like I mattered. If I was hurting, Nana would sit me down with hot chocolate and listen. If I was excited, Gramps would stop mid-project just to hear me out. With them, I wasn't just a kid, I was their pride. Meanwhile, my parents, they treated life like a free hotel. Party all night, sleep all day, complain about responsibilities. Dad would sprawl across the couch, controller in hand, while Gramps tried teaching him the basics of adulthood. What if you can't afford AAA? Gramps would ask after suggesting he fix a tire. Dad wouldn't even look up from his game. I'll figure it out when I get there. That was his entire philosophy. Delay, avoid, escape. Mom wasn't much better. She'd dump me on Nana with the same line every time. Can you watch him for a few hours? Translation. She wanted to drink, gossip, disappear. But when you're 5, you don't see the dysfunction. You just know life feels safe with your grandparents. Until the day everything changed. When I was 6, my parents decided it was time for independence. Translation. Mom was pregnant again. So we left the only home that felt stable and moved into a rundown rental that they acted like was a mansion. No Gramps, no Nana, just microwave dinners, paper-thin walls, and a crying baby who would rewrite the rest of my childhood. And from that moment on, I wasn't a kid anymore. I was free labor, babysitter, parent, scapegoat, all before I even turned 8. And as the years went by, the kids kept coming, one after another, 7 in total, each one louder, messier, needier than the last. And somehow, every single one of them became my responsibility. Not theirs, mine. 6 disasters. That's what I called them. Each one meant more responsibility dumped on me. My parents had this twisted logic. You're so good with kids. Translation? We're too lazy. It's your job now. Family dinners were a joke. Frozen pizza night after night, because apparently cooking was rocket science. If Spitta didn't like pepperoni, she wouldn't hand it off, wouldn't set it aside, straight to the floor. Just like that. And when I complained, Dad only shrugged. Kids will be kids. At least she's eating. Then he'd tell me to clean it up, like I was a janitor of this circus. Public outings? Hell on earth. I'd be chasing Tornado through Target while Screamer melted down in the toy aisle. Destroyer knocked over soup cans. Spitter licked the shopping cart handle. And Velcro? He wrapped himself around my leg so tight I could barely move. And through all this chaos, my parents just stood there, tourists in their own disaster zone, occasionally yelling, "Stop that," but never actually stopping anything. People stared at us like we were some kind of freak show. One woman even told my mom, maybe you should control your kids. My mom's answer, they're just being kids. Some people are so judgmental. Meanwhile, her little monsters were playing soccer with Cheerios boxes. Car rides weren't any better. Imagine 7 bodies crammed into a minivan that smelled like diapers and death. The soundtrack? Screaming, crying, fists flying, my parents arguing about directions or money. And over it all, the chorus. Are we there yet? He's touching me. She won't stop crying. That was my life on repeat. And as I got older, things only got worse. My role shifted from helper to unpaid employee. Weekends, school breaks, holidays, gone. Claimed by babysitting duty. They didn't ask. They announced, "We're going out Saturday. You'll watch the kids." If I had plans, too bad. School events, not important. Teenager stuff, selfish waste of time. Friday nights hurt the most. While everyone else was at movies or parties, I was stuck at home changing diapers, putting kids to bed. And the breaking point came when I was 15. My friend Jake was throwing a party. Nothing wild, just kids hanging out, playing games. Normal teenage life. For weeks I held on to the hope that maybe, just this once, I'd get to be normal too. And shockingly, my parents said yes. I could go. I was stunned. But 2 hours before the party, they dropped the bomb. Change of plans. We're going to a late movie. You need to watch everyone. The casual way they said it made my blood boil. Like my life, my one chance of being a normal kid, was nothing but a minor inconvenience. I pushed back. But you said I could go. Dad didn't even blink. Plans change. Family comes first. I snapped. I never get to do anything. I'm 15, not their dad. My dad's face darkened. We give you food and shelter. The least you can do is help. Stop being ungrateful. Ungrateful for wanting one night of freedom. That's when my cousin Paul walked in. 25, my mom's nephew, and the exact opposite of everything my parents were. He took one look at me, dressed up, ready to leave, and asked where I was going. My mom answered casually, like ripping my plans away was no big deal. He was supposed to go to some party, but we need him here. Paul glanced between me and the chaos of screaming siblings. Then he asked a question nobody else had ever asked. When's the last time this had got to hang out with friends? My mom shrugged. He hangs out with his siblings all the time. Paul didn't flinch. That's not the same thing. Then he turned to me. Go to your party. I'll watch them. My mom tried to protest, but Paul shut it down with a calm authority I could only dream of. He's 15. He should be out with kids his age, not raising yours. Boom. First time in my life someone actually acknowledged what was happening. My parents tried to argue, but Paul wouldn't budge. Either I watch them, or you stay home. Your choice. That night at Jake's party, I finally got to breathe. Pizza that no one spit on. Laughter that didn't end in screaming. Bedtime that only belonged to me. For the first time in years, I felt like a normal kid. From then on, Paul became the big brother I never had. He checked in, pulled me out when things got unbearable, and wasn't afraid to call my parents out. You know this isn't normal, right? He said once, over melting ice cream cones. I repeated the line my parents drilled into me. It's just how our family works. Paul shook his head. No, it's how your parents avoid responsibility. There's a difference. And for the first time in my life, I believed it. While I stumbled around like a zombie, the whole neighborhood could hear her crying. They just chose to ignore it because they knew I'd handle it. Sleep deprivation was eating me alive. My grades tanked. Of course they did. My friends stopped inviting me out. I was always too tired or too tied down. My social life didn't just die. It was executed. Academically, I fell hard. From a steady B-plus kid to barely clawing at AC average. Teachers started pulling me aside, asking if everything was okay at home. But what was I supposed to say? That my parents had turned me into a single teenage dad? Who would even believe that? When my guidance counselor, Mrs. Patterson, finally called home, the conversation was almost surreal. We're concerned about his academic performance, she said gently. His slipping this semester. Is everything okay at home? And my mom, without missing a beat, served her favorite cover story. Oh, he's just going through a rebellious phase. You know how teenagers can be. He's just not applying himself. Mrs. Patterson pressed. But is falling asleep in class. Are you sure there isn't something affecting his sleep? My mom didn't flinch. He stays up too late playing video games. Kids these days. Video games. Right. Because clearly I had endless free time to waste. Mrs. Patterson, still trying, suggested maybe I needed fewer responsibilities to focus on school. My mom actually laughed. Kids have it too easy now. A little responsibility builds character. The call ended with promises of time management talks, which really just meant another lecture about trying harder and making fewer excuses. And then came the final gut punch. I'd been accepted into a prestigious summer engineering program at the state university. 3 weeks of coursework, a golden ticket for my college applications. I was ecstatic, but my parents... Who's going to watch the kids while we work? My mom asked flatly. My dad chimed in. We're not dumping them on Paul every time you want something. There'll be other opportunities. Other opportunities. As if programs like this grew on trees. I asked him, when? When will there be another chance like this? He didn't have an answer. Meanwhile, I watched my classmates post about their summer programs online. They weren't smarter than me. They didn't have better grades. But they had one thing I didn't, parents who actually supported them. While they learned and built futures, I was changing diapers and breaking up fights between Spitter and Tornado. And then came Aunt Karen. Yes, Karen, my mom's #1 cheerleader. She had her perfect little angels and a husband who actually helped, plus money for babysitters. She'd show up for Sunday dinners, sit back, and watch the chaos like it was theater. While Tornado tore apart the living room and Spitter managed to contaminate dinner, she'd smile sweetly and say, "You're so lucky to have such a helpful oldest." My mom would beam, while I chased Velcro around the table like some unpaid nanny. When Paul finally started calling my parents out, Karen swooped in like their self-appointed lawyer. Some people need to mind their own business, she snapped. Not everyone understands family values. Paul didn't back down. What family values? Forcing your teenager to raise your kids. Karen's eyes narrowed. His learning responsibility. It'll make him a better man. Paul shot back. No, it'll make him resent his family. The tension was thick enough to slice. My parents, they just sat there like this was normal dinner conversation. Later, Karen cornered me in the kitchen while I scrubbed dishes. You know how good you have it, right? Some kids don't have families that care. I was 17, exhausted, done with the gaslighting. Yeah, and some kids don't have to be parents to their siblings. Her face went cold. Gratitude goes a long way in this family. Your parents work hard to provide for you, and I work hard to raise their kids. What's your point? Her voice hardened. They could have put you in foster care when things got hard. Instead, they kept the family together. Like basic parenting was some kind of gift. That's when it hit me. Karen wasn't just enabling them. She genuinely believed this was normal. And it got worse. She started bringing her little angels over for play dates, sitting quietly with coloring books while my siblings burned the house down. She'd watch Destroyer flush toy cars down the toilet and smile. Some families are more structured, she'd say, but every family finds what works for them. Apparently, chaos worked for mine, and Karen made sure to reinforce it, praising my responsibility in front of my parents, which only meant they dumped even more on me. "You've raised such a responsible young man," she'd say. Yeah, responsible for everyone except myself. Fast forward to last month. I'm 18 now, barely crawling through senior year with a GPA that should have been higher. And then my parents called a family meeting where they dropped the kind of bomb that would change everything. It started like an announcement out of a game show. My mom's voice rang out, brimming with excitement, like she'd just told us we'd won the lottery. We're having another baby. Number 7. Lucky number 7. The words hit me so hard the room began to tilt, spinning like some twisted version of Inception. And the worst part? They weren't even telling me as their son. No, the way my dad framed it made everything crystal clear. This wasn't about joy or family. It was about free labor. You're 18 now, he said. That means you can take on more responsibility without any legal issues. Legal issues. They had actually thought about the legal side of their child labor operation. Around me, chaos broke out like it always did. Screamer cheered like it was Christmas morning. The Destroyer looked confused, muttering about where would even put another baby when there was already no room. Spitter, with her usual charm, asked if she could feed it. I promise I won't spit on it. Velcro clung to my leg, whispering if I'd take care of this one too. And as if on cue, Hurricane began wailing, her cries cutting through the room like a siren. And there they were, my parents. My mom glowing like this was the happiest news of her life. My dad smirking like he just solved all their problems by making another child. That was it. Something inside me snapped. I was done. Completely, utterly done. I excused myself, walked into my half-nursery, half-bedroom, and dialed the only lifeline I had left. Gramps, they made another mistake. I need help. Can I come live with you? The silence lasted all of 3 seconds before it erupted. Not anger at me, anger at them. Those idiots are having another kid? Jesus Christ, what's wrong with them? I'd never even heard Gramps swear before. That's when I knew. He was just as fed up with my parents as I was. Pack your things. We're coming right now. 30 minutes later, my grandparents were in the driveway. I'd stuffed clothes into a bag, grabbed my phone, charger, birth certificate, social security card, the essentials. My parents banged on the door, shouting for me to come out, but I ignored them. For the first time in years, I felt free. When Gramps and Nana arrived, I'd never seen them look so furious. Gramps looked like he could rattle my parents' teeth with his bare hands. My parents, they weren't sad to see me go. No, their faces showed pure shock and panic. Panic at who would take care of the circus without me. You can't just leave. My mom shrieked like I was breaking a contract. Watch me, I said, duffel in hand. We're your parents. My dad added, like the title alone erased years of neglect. No, I said, standing in the doorway. You're the people who gave birth to me. That's all. There's a difference. Gramps stepped forward, his voice like a hammer. If you treated him like family instead of free labor, maybe he wouldn't be leaving. My dad puffed up, ready to argue, but Nana shut him down with a single glare. We'll be in touch about his things, she said sharply, before ushering me out. As we pulled away, I caught one last look at my parents. Standing in the doorway, drowning in the chaos of 6 unruly kids, finally staring at the reality of life without their unpaid babysitter. And then my phone lit up. A storm of missed calls, angry texts, and voicemails. First came the rage. How dare you abandon your family like this? Get your ass home right now. When that failed, guilt, your siblings are asking where you are. Velcro hasn't stopped crying since you left. And then the mask slipped. My dad, at 2 a.m. Do you have any idea how much babysitters cost? You can't just leave us hanging like this. There it was. Their truth laid bare. It was never about losing me as their son. It was about losing their free labor. They thought they could break my grandparents with threats of lawsuits, accusing them of kidnapping me, of interfering with parental rights. But Gramps, he wasn't the type to blink. He leaned back, calm as ever, and said, "Go ahead, get a lawyer. I'd love to hear you explain to a judge why you're shooting to force your son into unpaid childcare." And just like that, silence. Because that's what it was. Not family responsibility. Not helping out. It was exploitation, and deep down, everyone knew it. Meanwhile, Paul was feeding me updates from the family group chat. Karen, my aunt, was leading the charge, painting me as a villain. I can't believe he abandoned his family after everything they've done for him. His poor mother, 7 kids and no help. But Paul, bless him, never let them rewrite the story. Maybe if they treated him like a son, he wouldn't have left. Karen shot back, his selfish, ungrateful. Family sticks together. And Paul cut through it. Family doesn't exploit their kids. One by one, the cracks showed. Relatives who'd been silent started asking questions. Wait, why was he doing so much childcare? Aren't there 6 other kids? 2 parents. Karen scrambled, backpedaling. He wasn't doing that much, just helping out like a big brother. But Paul didn't let go. He had a baby in his room, doing night feeds. That's not helping. That's parenting. And here's the twist. Gramps and Nana had been documenting everything. Every late night I came home exhausted. Every time I joked about being the 3rd parent. Every missed event. He even kept a notebook. Dates, times, my stress written down like evidence in a case file. Screenshots of texts, photos of the house, the mess, the neglect. They had receipts, and they were ready. So when CPS finally stepped in, they didn't just see a messy house, they saw the truth. A social worker named Mrs. Madison walked in, and within minutes, the facade cracked. My parents tried to play it off as kids being kids, but when she asked who supervised, they admitted, usually our oldest helps out, but he's with his grandparents right now. Then she spoke to my siblings individually. And kids, they don't lie. One by one, they spilled everything. Who did the night feeds? Me. Who helped with homework? Me. Who made sure they ate, brushed their teeth, got to school? Me. Even Screamer, the little one, told her plainly, he does everything. Mom and Dad watch TV. The final blow came when Mrs. Madison asked to see where the baby slept. They had no choice but to admit the crib had been in my room. Their excuses unraveled. After 3 weeks of surprise visits, interviews, and notes, CPS dropped the hammer. The verdict? Inappropriate delegation of parental responsibilities to a minor child, resulting in educational impact and emotional stress. In plain words, they were guilty. The consequences? Brutal and perfect. Mandatory parenting classes. A caseworker watching over them with surprise visits. Strict cleanliness standards. And my favorite part, they had to hire professional babysitters. No more free labor. For the first time, it was in writing. I wasn't their third parent. I wasn't their safety net. I was their child. And finally, the system forced them to treat me that way. The hammer really fell when CPS laid out the rules. My parents had to sign a paper, black and white, acknowledging that I had the right to live like a teenager, not a third parent. And the fallout? It hit where it always hurts most, money and pride. Word about the investigation spread fast. Suddenly, in their social circle, whispers replaced smiles. Friends who once envied their big, happy family were now asking hard questions. Why had their oldest son moved out? Why did CPS need to get involved? The answers weren't pretty. And then came the financial sting. No more free babysitter. Professional childcare for 5 kids, even just for date nights, meant dropping $100, maybe $150 each time. That added up fast. Dad picked up extra shifts just to pay for babysitters, while Mom had to drop her part-time hours because someone actually needed to be home. The house of cards was collapsing. At one family gathering, Karen tried to spin it. CPS just doesn't understand close families, she argued. But Paul, tired of her excuses, cut her down with one brutal truth. Close families don't treat their teenagers like unpaid employees. The silence in the room was deafening. Even my parents couldn't fight that. What should have been a joyful pregnancy announcement turned into another weight of stress. Even their own lawyer admitted no judge on earth would force an 18-year-old back into unpaid childcare. His advice was simple. Fix your relationship, or lose it forever. Meanwhile, away from all that chaos, I was finally breathing. Sleeping through the night, my grade shot up. From a 2.8 to a 3.6 by the end of senior year. That engineering program I thought I'd lost, they reopened a spot for me. College applications looked brighter than ever. And for the first time, I had a job, real work at Gramps' buddy's auto shop. Work that paid, not drained. Gramps and Nana refused to take a dime from my parents. We're investing in our grandson's future, Nana told my mom in one heated phone call. Something you should have been doing all along. The relationship with my parents is fractured beyond repair. But you know what? I'm okay with that. My siblings have started asking their own questions. Screamer once asked Mom why I had to do all the baby's night feeds when, as he put it, that's parent stuff. And when she tried the vague family duty excuse, he fired back. Then why didn't you help him with his homework? Out of the mouths of babes. Paul's still here, stepping into that big brother role I didn't even know I needed. And my parents, they are finally learning, the hard way, what raising 6 kids actually costs. Or, as Paul so perfectly put it, most people figure that out before they have sex.